Okay. Now, tying this in to tariffs, because what I'm going to get into is some facts on tariffs, so that you can really understand it. And I'm gonna hit those biblical parts on tariffs so you can understand. You're getting a lot of information out there, but what people don't give you is the actual core information that you see. My job and everybody else's job is not to manipulate your mind and make you think what we think you ought to think. We're gonna always have our opinions. Again, that's why DEI don't work. We're gonna always have our opinions. We're gonna always have like think the way we think and the way we perceive. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why people don't understand. But you're supposed to leave enough leeway to say, my job is to inform, and your job is to research to make sure the facts coming off completely, and then your job is to make your own consensus. That's your job. Our job is not to control you and manipulate you. The problem is that too many people have been trying to control and manipulate you with information. You need to be informed and you need the facts. And when you have that, you make your own consensus. And sometimes you got to go behind people that give you information just to make sure. Now, there's going to always be mixed information out there. That's why I showed y'all that earlier about Michelle Obama and that. Because there's going to always be mixed information out there. You're going to have one report that says 2%. You're going to have another report that says 4%. You're going to have one news media outlet that says 25%. You're going to have another one that says 35%. It's all inconsistent. It's all confusion. But once you gather the information, it's your job and your job alone. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your job and your job alone. Do you understand what I'm saying? To make a consensus. That is your job. That's your job. Okay? It's not our job to make the consensus for you. It's our job to inform you, and it's your job to gather the information from the different sources you get it from and to learn and to grow for yourself and make decisions for yourself. Again, too many people want to play your God and control your mind, control your faculties, and control your thoughts. This is how these players play in the world, but that's not how we're supposed to be playing. Now, I want to show you a clip from Ronald Reagan and his point of view on tariffs. Okay? So watch that clip, and I will be right back.
Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity.
Last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make
our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me.
See, from you watching this from Reagan, you would perceive that, oh my God, he is talking good, he knows what he's talking about. He's, that sounds good. What he's saying sounds good, right? Everything that he's saying, right? I would say the same thing too. But there's a small problem, not with what he is saying, but with how we are thinking. Now, that video is from about 20 something years ago. Do you know how many things have changed and shifted since then? Do you know how many things have changed and shifted on the international level? So it's like coming to someone with that same information, but you need to make some different kind of choices, right? And this is what happens. You need to reevaluate a message and see if it has value for what is needed today. And maybe it does. But is that the decisions that we need to be making in the moment? That's what you have to decide. Let's give you an example. When you're sick, you need a physician, right? You've heard the saying, came out the Bible. I know how to cite my sources, son. You need a physician, right? And when you are whole, you don't need a physician, you just need to stay whole. And in this case, when we didn't have insight, when we didn't understand things or how things worked, we needed nobility, right? When we didn't know we had enemies international, when we didn't know we had enemies inside, U.S. enemies, people doing things that are trying to just destroy people in the earth. That sounds noble. That sounds perfect. Do you understand that? And it's still of value. It really is. But now that we have more insight into debt, the debt that this country is in, which is about $34 trillion, into the fights, into the wars, into race wars, into the real intentions of all kinds of people, whether it's this country or other countries, the control, the manipulation, the backstabbing, the lies. Now that we have more insight, is nobility what we need? Or do we need emergency surgery? I'm going to chew on that for a minute. I'm going to chew on that for a minute. I'm going to give you an example. Let's just say you run into an attack. An attacker says, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you and your family. I'm going to destroy you. You don't really know who that person is, right? You don't take them so seriously. You say, I'll pray for you. Everything will be all right. Nobility, right? Noble. You're doing the right thing, noble. I pray for you. I pray for you. Maybe something going on in your life. Maybe something is not right. Maybe something happened to you. Maybe 5 minutes before somebody pissed you off or something, right? Nobility, right? Cool. Cool, cool, cool. But what happens when things have shifted? Things shifted from the talk and the nobility to now they finna do this for real. Somebody's breaking into your house. They're about to harm you. They're about to do some stuff that's going to blow you out the water and rob your family or kill one of your kids or something. Do you need no mobility in that time? Do you need that message in that time? Or do you need to fight back in that time? Leave that for you to chew on. Some things you got to learn how to chew on. I had to look at the stuff, make sure it's still on. Some things, guys, you gotta learn how to break down. You gotta learn how to chew on. So messages applied need to be applied correctly, is what I'm saying. Their nobility is always good. It should always be the choice. But sometimes you got to know your environment, know your timing, and know your season. I think the Bible said it perfect. There's a time for war, there's a time for peace, there's a time to die, there's a time to live. So you have to examine, guys. You have to know what's going on. And if you not discerning and don't know what's going on, you're going to fall for everything that people is throwing at you. Again, it's not my job to make you think. I mean, to make you think the way I think or think the way the world thinks. It's my job to educate, to inform, and then it's your job to do your research, to do what you need to do, so you'll stay up to date on what you need to know, right? So again, back to the question. Do we need mobility with all the things we know now? What they call nobility, being noble, or do we need some emergency surgery? Do we need to make some decisions? Decisions. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's going to deal with this $34 trillion worth of debt. That's going to deal with the previous decisions that politicians have made, not just in America, but across the country. And current decisions that have ran this country into the ground. Some of the land in this country being owned by foreign substances when it comes to our military camps. A lot of people don't even know that. But some of our military land surrounding the military is owned by foreign people. They're not owned in this American. Some people don't even know that. Okay? Most of our products, our foods, our technology, our entertainment is owned either wholly or majority by other lands. Okay? And foreign tariffs tax high on our importers. Do you understand this? American companies or companies in America. It could be a foreign person, but if they have an American company, they still have to deal with tariffs themselves. Do you understand that? So if they're a United States citizen now, but they weren't necessarily born here at first, and their country is considered an American company, they still have to deal with tariffs too when they're working in certain arenas. And these high tariffs that are imposed, even though the companies pay them, the taxes are being passed to you, the consumer, the taxpayers. That's the way it rolls. Okay. Now I'm going to get into some of our highest people that we pay taxes to, or tariffs behind. You understand? Let me give you a list of that right now.